In the previous video, we made some good progress in going over the basic controls of KiCad and creating the simple 555 example circuit. And in this video, we'll start using those skills to lay out the GamePad itself. To start off, let's make the schematic page larger. Go to the menu bar and click on File, and then click Page Settings. At the top left of the window, change the page size from A4 to A3. You can also add in meta details about the project here, such as the title, date, revision number, author name, and any comments that might be necessary. This doesn't have any direct impact on your schematic, but it helps keep things organized and establishes a paper trail for revisions. Click OK when you're done to return back to the schematic. You'll notice that the total area of the project has grown, and this extra space will come in handy when we start laying out the buttons for the GamePad. Draw a box to select all of the 555 circuitry and then move it down to the corner of the schematic. Now open the parts menu and search for the Arduino Nano. Select version 3 and then place it near the center of the page. Next, we'll start handling our power labels. Right now we have a plus bat label for our 555 example circuit, but the source of this power isn't actually defined anywhere. So we'll need to open up the parts menu again and type this into the filter box. Choose the socket type and then place it into the schematic, and this is going to be our connection point for the battery. But we also want a way to turn our battery connection on and off, so we need to add a switch. In the parts menu, search for SPDT and place it on the sheet. Finally, we need some kind of reverse polarity protection in the event the battery is connected backwards. There are electrically many ways to do this, but we're going to use the simplest method of a Schottky switching diode. In the filter box for the parts menu, type in D_S. Select the Schottky diode and then place one on the page, and then place a ground connection on the other pin of the connector. And then wire everything together like this. Going back to the Arduino, we'll place a plus bat label and connect it to the VN pin at the top. We'll then place a plus 5 volt label and connect it to the 5 volt pin of the Arduino. Then place a plus bat label at the output of the Schottky diode. And now we've derived all the power sources for the rest of our circuit. There is one more thing we need to do, however, and that is place the power flag label. Inside the power label menu, type in PWR_flag and place this near the plus bat label near the Schottky diode and connect it to the same wire. This might be a bit confusing. The power flag label isn't actually a part or a usable label for us, the designer. Instead, this is a meta label used by KiCad exclusively for the electrical rules checker, or ERC for short. Basically, KiCad doesn't actually know where the power in the circuit comes from. So if we ran the ERC, it would complain that it can't tell where the actual electricity is supposed to come from. This power flag label just tells KiCad where we expect the power to source from. We'll need to place another power flag label at the ground of the battery connector as well, and this tells KiCad where the ground source is from. Now that we have our power set up, we can start laying out the components of the GamePad. We'll start with the buttons. Each button is going to consist of a single push button, a resistor, and a capacitor. When searching for the button, enter in push into the filter box of the parts menu. Once these components are placed, arrange them like this and then wire them together. Next, add in the plus 5 volt and ground power labels and wire them as shown. Note that these parts are going to be receiving power and not supplying it, so they don't need to have their own power flag meta label. Set the value of the resistor to 1 kilo ohms and the value of the capacitor to 100 nanofarads. Now that we have one of our button modules created, we'll need 6 of them in total. So simply drag a box over all of our button stuff and copy paste it 5 times, one below the other. And you'll notice that each of the individual parts have automatically incremented their part numbers. To maintain compatibility with older GamePads, the layout of the buttons is going to be a little strange. Going from the top down, the button should connect to the Arduino pins 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 10 respectively. While we could sit here and wire up each button individually, what we could do instead is use local net labels. Net labels are very simple. They basically specify that 2 wires sharing the same label should be connected together. And I'll show you what I mean. First, go to the topmost button module and create a new wire between the resistor and the capacitor. But remember to try and avoid the 4-way intersection for wires. Bring the wire out a short ways and then double-click to end the wire. Now click on this button on the right-hand side. This will open up the Label Properties menu. Give this label the name BTN_A. Click OK to exit the window. Now click on the little box at the end of the wire you just made. And you'll see the label attach itself to the end of that wire. Now go to the Arduino. Make another short wire coming off of pin D2. Next, open the label menu again, and use the drop-down menu to choose the label we just made and then attach it to that wire. Now hover your mouse over top of one of the labels and press the tilde key on your keyboard. You should see the label and the wire turn pink on both the button module and the Arduino. What this means is that these wires are now treated as if they were connected. When you should and shouldn't use labels like this depends on the context of what you're working on. My general rule of thumb is to use a normal wire unless using a label is either more clear or if this is an area that may need to be reconfigured quickly. Personally, I would have used wires instead of labels in this situation, but for this video it makes more sense. If you accidentally wire up a button to the wrong pin, you can just select and move the label around rather than redrawing the entire wire. Now let's continue mapping our buttons to the Arduino using these labels. Follow the same steps as above and map the buttons like this. We can also very easily rearrange the button modules now without breaking connections. For example, I could select the bottom 3 button modules and move them up beside the others. Now let's add 2 output LEDs, but this time I'd invite you to try adding them on your own. Each LED should have its own 1k ohm limiting resistor, and the LEDs should connect to pins 4 and 5. And remember to add the ground connections as well. Now let's add the buzzer. This one is even easier, it doesn't even need a resistor. Just look in the parts menu for a buzzer using the filter box and place it into the schematic. Wire it up to pin D9 of the Arduino and to ground. And make sure to pay attention to the polarity of the buzzer. Now go back to the Arduino and add in the ground connections for it. I'll arrange things just a little bit to make things cleaner, but we're kind of at a stopping point right now. The next part we need to add is the OLED screen, but if we do a search for an OLED display in the parts menu, it gives us a flat flex connector, which is the wrong interface. So what we need to do now is create a custom part for our screen that has the correct interface. For now, you should have a schematic that looks somewhat like this. It doesn't have to be pixel for pixel the same, but all the connections should be identical. And in the next video, we'll pick up from where we left off and make our custom part.